Okay, let's talk about the Western Conference Finals. Boy, tough first game for the Jenkins and Jones narratives. So that's someone just replied to the YouTube post that Jackson put up today and was like, "Can't wait to hear you talk about the Celtics." And oh yeah, Ant really locked up Kyrie last game.
Buddy.
I stand by loving what Ant said about getting Kyrie. But
Yes.
did you guys see Kyrie on set of Inside the NBA talking about seeing that quote from Ant?
And this is look, bro, that shit that we got from Kyrie, that's why we need inside the NBA. Because he was comfortable, Shaq and Chuck threw him out the question in a way where Kyrie could answer it in an honest way. And he was like, they're like, I know you at the crib watching, watching this with your family. You see Ant call you out. How you feel? Right? Like there is a rapport there that is going to get you an honest answer
Right.
that we got from Kyrie, where he was like, yeah, I saw that and it motivated me a bit, right? Like, I don't know if you're gonna get that on like no shots to like Zach Lowe or whatever, but on an ESPN post game like that with that panel, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah, I love it. I love it because Kyrie answered it honestly. He was like, "Oh, for sure that motivated me," and he still gave and his props. He's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, but
He said,
Ant's a
"That's what
competitor.
we
That's what
love
we love
about him."
about him,
Yeah.
right? Right?"
It
And
was a
yeah,
great answer.
I just
Yeah.
love that Ant said that, he wants all the smoke, and Kyrie was like, "Okay, I got smoke for you then." You know what I mean? I love that both of those dudes were just that honest with us about being, competitors at their respective field.
Yeah. I
And
think
said he wanted smoke, thinking that it would be like normal smoke, and instead he got the smoke monster from Lost. That is just like
Right?
a
Right,
living,
just
breathing
engulfed by the
monster
smoke.
that is unable
Yes.
to be contained by any single human being. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and I mean, I was pretty excited for the Jaden McDaniels Luca matchup, and that went just fine for for Luca.
Yeah.
And but that's playoff basketball, man. Those dudes look like I mean that's what you want to see. Check ball. Those two
Uh,
dudes can go win you the game. They go win you the game. That's what it's supposed to be. And they both were unbelievable. So, um,
Luca,
how do you?
man. Luca's different, dog.
He's
Luca is
different.
different. He's
He-
different. Like I've got I've got a take on Luca. Like I feel like this. I think Luca is top 5-ish in the league. And I'm honestly at the point where I will hear your case out for any player that you say Luca is better than other than Jokic. Like I'll
yeah.
hear you out, bro. I
Yeah.
really will when it comes to Luca. He's a bad motherfucker, man.
Well, and again, he's got the hot young defensive star on him for game, basically. And cool as a cucumber, bro. Little lean in, little, just a little push off, not one that's really it would have been a really tight call for them to call that. Get that left elbow on him, step away, plenty of space, calm as could be. Yeah, he's different, bro. He's
Yeah.
different. I'm with you on that.
He has some of those fourth quarter clutch moments that you're like, oh right, this is what a superstar is supposed to be. But we're talking about that Tatum sometimes sort of fades from a little bit, which is it's whatever. Luca has all of
You're
the.
trying to reverse jinx.
Of course I am. Of course I am. Of course I am. But they have both guys. They have of the remaining players in the playoffs, the guys that you're like, I have complete faith in you to get a good look at the end of a game. They have the number one and number two, probably, right?
Mhm. Um,
You say Ant
I
over
think
over
Luca's the
who?
best player in this series. I think Ant's the second best player. Um,
But I'll give you that in terms of trusting at the end of the game. I mean, how many tough takes did Kai have in that game, bro?
Bro.
Like
bro, they got in that drop coverage, daring them to drive, and fucking Luca and Kai were like, okay, we will fucking eat them alive.
sounds great.
Right? That is awesome for me. Let's set our lunch table up right here, 10 feet outside from the cup, right? Yeah, they got to figure some shit out because just getting because that defensive scheme was just like an embodiment of kind of the NBA philosophy. Okay, don't give up the three, don't give up the shots at the cup. And Luke and Kyrie were like, okay, well, there is a whole fucking Elysian field right here of
Right.
mid-range open for us, and we're gonna eat here. You know what I'm saying?
But I
Right.
think it was interesting, and I could see this is kind of the argument that the Gobert defenders will make is Kai was comfortable on Inside the NBA talking about they're in the drop coverage. That's where Rudy's most comfortable. If they make the adjustment to bring him out, we feel comfortable with that too.
Yeah.
The unspoken part of that and what's unfair to Rudy is the reason the Elysian Fields are there is because they're 2 steps and by Ant and Jaden McDaniels, right? Like that's the whole point of funneling someone is not that they get around you. They've got a clear, like they just won their matchup. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah, there wasn't any funneling. It was those dudes just
Right.
in their matchups, like right,
And so
getting to their spots.
and then they have control, like you said. Now, I think I don't read. I'll be honest with you. I don't read too much into the game 1 result because I think, and Kyrie acknowledged this, but there's just no way it's not true. The Timberwolves look gassed, and they should be gassed. They just came off of one of the craziest back and forth series we've seen. Every minute, kind of counting, obviously, and that's in that game 7 and everything. So, like, I understand them coming out looking a little bit flat. Chris Finch made a similar comment. He said, they know game 1 happened now, right?
That was a really funny quote.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Chris Finch too. I mean, I do. I like Chris Finch, but like I think to some extent you're just, especially when you talk about defensive effort and all that stuff. Like hopefully we see a Timberwolves team that goes a little harder. But it might just be that we misjudged that Mavericks team. I love everything Kyrie said in the interview last night. He talked about I mean, you could just see his leadership. No, I really respected it though. Him saying at the end of last season, really looking around and going, it should be me and Luka. Like that's, it's like none of these other dudes have been to the finals. None of these other dudes. And, he's probably looking at the Celtics the way we were looking at the Celtics last week. He's probably looking at the Celtics like, I'm going to take their fucking lunch. Like, so, and that's the right way for him to be looking at it. He's got the experience. We know he's playing with Braun. So it's easy to think about that. Obviously we associate that team with Braun, but like, who's got the moment now that the Nuggets are out? Who's got the crunch time championship moment left in the playoffs that Kyrie has? So I think he's right to have the confidence and the leadership that he has, and you can see that in the way the Mavericks are playing. So I don't know, bro. I don't know. After seeing game 1, do you have the same read I do, Tyler, about the Wolves being a little flat, or do you feel like that might be Dallas' series now?
Yeah, I think the Wolves are for sure a little flat. I still got the Wolves coming out of this. Still
Ooh.
do. I do.
I think
But
so
I think
too. I
that
think so
I
too.
think yeah, I think that Luka and Kyrie have established themselves as for sure a championship caliber duo this postseason, however shit goes. And Dallas needs to get the right fucking pieces around them this postseason to make that shit come to fruition.
Yeah, well, that's going to be the other thing with this second apron thing is it is a little bit like musical chairs when the music stops. I mean, it's like if you've got a good duo, they're probably that's going to be your group right there. You're not necessarily, I mean, even when the Lakers are talking about a third star, they're talking about moving every other guy on the team for them, which I hope they don't do, right? So it's if you've got a Luka and a Kyrie and they're locked in, that's your team, and then it's going to be who gets the best role players, championship pieces around those two guys. And that's, Celtics are in a good spot. I mean, it's just as as the contracts come back up, right? The Thunder are going to have to start dealing with, because I think they just said SGA is going to sign the biggest contract in NBA history this offseason. So it'll be interesting.
We're this close to crowning an NBA champ, and with the action heating up on the court, it's even hotter at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. There are only 4 teams left, and DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odd boosts, and so much more.
Think the TWolves will continue their hot streak, or maybe you feel that the Pacers' Cinderella run continues? Throw up to $1,500 with DraftKings no sweat bet. New customers can deposit at least $5 and you'll get a bonus bet back equal to your first bet if it doesn't hit.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Jenkins. That's code Jenkins, Jenkins, for new customers to get a no sweat bet up to $1,500 if your first bet doesn't hit. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.